Welcome to Casa Academy Chapter 5, Part 4, where we will cover real estate brokerage activities and procedures.
All right, let's just dive right in. I'm your guide today, and my absolute top priority is to completely demystify all those tricky rules and structures around limited partnerships and LLPs for your Florida real estate licensing exam. I know, business structures can feel like a total maze of legal jargon sometimes, but we're going to break it down step by step so you know exactly what to watch out for when you sit down for that test. You've completely got this, so let's get going.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with an introduction to partnership structures, move right into limited partnership roles explained, cover real estate brokerage LPs, tackle limited liability partnerships, and wrap it all up with key exam takeaways. We're going to compare, contrast, and totally conquer these concepts. Okay, Section 1, Introduction to Partnership Structures.
So beyond your standard general partnerships, the ones that can literally just be formed with a handshake, the state exam heavily tests two very specific structures. We're talking about the limited partnership, or LP, and the limited liability partnership, or LLP. Now, the absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that both of these require formal registration with the state to legally exist. And what's really cool is that both of these entities can actually take an extra step. They can register with the DBPR to operate as full-fledged real estate brokerages offering services to the public, assuming they follow the proper licensing rules, of course.
Let's zoom in on the initial setup for a limited partnership. To create one, you can't just, hang a sign on your door and call it a day. You actually have to file a certificate of limited partnership with the Secretary of State, and you must file with the clerk of court in the county where the business operates. But here's a sneaky little hidden exam role for you. A limited partnership can actually buy and sell its own real estate without a broker license and without registering with the DBPR. Yeah, just like an everyday person, the partnership can act on its own behalf. It only needs that DBPR registration when it starts providing real estate services to others.
Moving right along to Section 2, Limited Partnership Roles Explained. I'm going to give you a huge heads up right now. The exam absolutely loves to test the exact differences between these two roles. A limited partnership legally has to have at least one of each. That means at least one general partner and at least one limited partner. And they are completely, totally different animals. The general partner, they manage the business. They make the day-to-day decisions, oversee the operations, and, this is big, they are fully liable for the partnership's debts. On the flip side, the limited partner acts strictly as an investor. They don't participate in management. They do not run the business. In return for staying out of the driver's seat, they get protected liability. So lock these keywords in your brain. Management goes with the general partner, and investor goes with the limited partner.
Let's unpack that liability piece a bit more, specifically for the general partner. You're definitely going to see the term severally liable. All this means is that general partners are jointly and individually responsible for the debts and obligations of the partnership. So if the business goes under and can't pay its bills, the general partner's personal assets, we're talking their own home, their personal bank accounts, are absolutely on the chopping block. This perfectly explains why the limited partner makes their trade-off, right? By giving up all that management control, the limited partner protects their personal assets beyond their initial investment. Sure, they might lose what they originally put into the company, but their personal savings account, totally safe.
So how does this actually affect you as a real estate professional? Well, you need to memorize this specific rule for the exam. If you're a licensed sales associate or broker associate, you may serve as a limited partner. You can invest your money, and you can still perform real estate brokerage services for the partnership because you hold the right license. But, and this is a massive but, a sales associate or broker associate may not serve as a general partner, ever. The exam will definitely try to trick you by mixing these up, so just remember, associates can be investors, but they can never be the managing general partners.
All right, let's hit Section 3, Real Estate Brokerage LPs. When an LP actually does decide it wants to act as a brokerage, the DBPR steps in with some pretty strict requirements. First off, the partnership itself obviously has to register with the DBPR. Second, at least one general partner must hold an active Florida broker's license. You can have other general partners who are inactive brokers or even totally unlicensed folks. But the absolute golden rule here is that those unlicensed or inactive general partners cannot perform any real estate services whatsoever. Also, just as a quick administrative note for your course, your verification code is 147741. Make sure you remember that only the active broker general partners are allowed to perform real estate services for the public.
Let's bring this to life a bit. Imagine a DBPR auditor is doing a routine compliance review, and they pull partnership file number 211058. When they crack open that file, they aren't just glancing to see if the partnership is registered. No, they are specifically scrutinizing the roster of general partners. If they catch an unlicensed general partner taking a commission for negotiating a sale, oh boy, that brokerage is in major trouble. The auditor's there to verify that only the active broker general partner is performing those protected brokerage services.
Moving into Section 4, Limited Liability Partnerships, or LLPs. Think of the LLP as a sort of modern evolution in business structures. It basically solves some of the massive personal liability risks that you'd find in traditional general partnerships. So, what exactly is an LLP? Well, it's a structure where the partners are still generally liable for the debts and obligations of the business itself. But, and here is the absolute game changer, they are not personally liable for the wrongful acts or misconduct of the other partners. In a standard general partnership, if your partner does something incredibly negligent and gets sued, your personal assets could be on the hook for their bad behavior. Yikes. The LLP structure brilliantly protects you from your partner's personal misconduct, which gives you so much more peace of mind.
Now, setting up an LLP requires some formal steps, just like the LP did. You've got to register the entity with the Secretary of State. Plus, the state wants the public to know exactly who they're dealing with, so your business name legally has to include the exact phrasing Limited Liability Partnership or the abbreviation LLP. There's no hiding your business structure from the public here.
When it comes to the real estate side of things, if your LLP wants to open up shop and provide public brokerage services, it has to register with the DBPR. And honestly, the rule here is wonderfully simple for your exam. An LLP follows the exact same licensing and registration rules that are already in place for standard real estate brokerage general partnerships. That's it. There's no separate confusing set of DBPR rules just for LLPs. They simply inherit the general partnership brokerage requirements. Easy enough, right?
And finally, Section 5, Key Exam Takeaways.
First of all, huge congratulations on making it through all these complex legal structures. Now let's take a look at this cheat sheet table. Seriously, take a mental snapshot of this grid. For a limited partnership, who manages? Only the general partners. What's the liability? Well, general partners are severally liable, meaning their personal stuff is at risk, while limited partners are protected. Do they need DBPR registration? Yes, but only if they operate as a brokerage. Okay, now look over at the LLP. Who manages? All partners can pitch in. What's the liability? You're protected from the misconduct of your other partners. And DBPR registration? Yes, once again, it's required to operate as a brokerage. Print this table out if you have to. It is going to be your absolute best friend for answering entity questions correctly.
So here is the ultimate question to leave you with. Are you ready to spot the liability traps and exceptions on your licensing exam? I mean, you now have the exact blueprint of how general partners differ from limited partners, why someone would choose an LLP, and precisely what the DBPR requires. Now it's time to challenge yourself. Apply this newly mastered understanding to your practice questions. You've got the tools, you've got the knowledge. Now go out there and absolutely crush it.